Hello guys. Today we'll be taking a really quick look at the Meike Macro Extension Tubes for Sony E-Mount. Now, first things first, let's talk about extension tubes in general. What do they do? Well, what they do is you can attach them to your camera or on a normal lens. And what that's going to do for you is allow you to take macro photos really up close, and it's going to make the minimum focusing distance much closer. Now, these are much cheaper than buying a standalone macro lens, so why would you buy a macro lens and not this? Well, the reason these are so cheap is because they do have a few downsides. First of all, the biggest downside would be that you lose your maximum focusing distance. In fact, your focusing range becomes tiny. It's pretty much unusable for anything other than macro, which is one big disadvantage that does not exist in macro lenses. Additionally, it will significantly reduce the amount of light your camera can capture, causing more noise in the image. In terms of the Meike macro tube extension tubes themselves in particular, they are made of full plastic. Black plastic, and the finishing is very cheaply done. As you can see, there's already scratches and scuffs all over it. I barely use these. They don't feel terribly solid. As you can see, even when they're put together, there's a little bit of wiggle room in there. They do come with nice caps to keep them clean. And the biggest advantage you're going to see with the Meike brand is that they have working metal contacts, meaning that your camera will autofocus properly, although it will have difficulty just because of the nature of macro. That is not the fault of these extension tubes. Also, it will be able to communicate things like aperture, allowing you to be in aperture or shutter priority mode. That's always very convenient. This particular set comes in 16 and 10mm, which of course combines for a max of 26mm of extension. I believe there is a metal mount version of this, but I don't have it because this one is of course cheaper. It does work fine with the plastic mounts, although as you can see they are quite cheap. And there's a little wiggle room, as we will see a little bit later. These don't have any noticeable detriments to photo quality, which is always good. They do conveniently have a little white dot for you to know where to mount your lens. Release of the lens is accomplished through this little switch here. The two can of course be split apart or put together for more macro. Of course, the more you put together, the more macro effect you will have, but the harder it will be to focus and the less light you'll be letting in. So finally, let's get how to put it on a camera, and then we'll finally get to the fun part, which is taking a look at some example photos. Before attaching it to the camera, you'll want to attach it to the lens first because that will make things easier. Or actually, you could do it the other way around, but this is the way I prefer. So grab a lens, of course Sony E-Mount, that's the only compatible one, and this particular one is the Sigma 30mm 1.4 DCDN. So pretty simple. I'll be putting the 10mm one on, but it's the same process for the other one. So you'll line up the white dots, as you can see, and then twist, and make sure it's locked in place. To release, as I said, you just pull this little latch down here, and then rotate it off. Now, we'll come over and grab the camera. Sony A6400 here, take our cap off, and you just attach it like how you'd attach your lens normally. Boom, there you go, that's what it looks like. Nice and slim, looks pretty nice. The black color also does match. Of course, I do wish we had metal mounts, because these are going to wear out much quicker, and you probably don't want to put a terribly heavy lens on this, because of course you're increasing your risk of it breaking. There is just tiny bit wobble and flex, as you can probably see. And that's kind of what you get with a less precise plastic mount. However, it does get the job done. So overall, I'm going to just conclude it here, since, well, after the sample photos, I don't need to say anything. You can just enjoy those. So I would have to say I recommend these. These are an extremely low priced, extremely reasonably priced, and the build quality is certainly not the best, but it works. It is enough to get the job done, especially if you're just getting into macro photography, as a pro would probably want to buy a standalone lens regardless. So this is definitely recommendable. for the price, especially considering, once again, the nice metal contacts that actually do their job. So that's gonna conclude this video. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Please buy them if you would like to buy them. Please do it through my affiliate link down below. It will help me out just a little bit. Thank you guys so much for watching and enjoy the samples.